Hi everyone, my name is Samantha Williams, and I think Sky's on here.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? I'm Sky.
Hi. All right. Thank you so much for coming in and tuning in. During this discussion, we're going to be raising money for the NAACP, so please donate. Alex and Andrew are going to come on right now and explain how to.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hi everyone.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. We're really excited about this. We're, of course, usually here raising money for the Actors Fund, but today we're here raising money for the NAACP empowerment programs, which Sammy's going to talk about and we'll talk about. But it's incredible programs that the NAACP has created, and you can donate and submit your questions to our panelists, the people talking, at the link below, bit.ly/Black Theater Matters.
That's correct, Andrew. And like normal, everybody who usually watches Broadway Jackbox on this channel will probably know how it works, but it runs through this platform called Tiltify, which we love very much. And the cool thing about Tiltify is instead of watching the stream on Twitch where we are streaming it, you can just go to that link that Andrew said, bit.ly/Black Theater Matters. The stream will be right there for you. So hopefully you're watching it from there right now. But if you're not, switch over to that. On the right side of the page, you will see a little button that says donate. You can donate via PayPal. You can donate via credit card. It's super easy. And like we said, what's going to happen is if you donate and you have a question that you want to ask, that's a great spot to leave it. There will be different sections of the show. And the panelists, if you have something for anybody specifically, we will try to get it to you. I'll be monitoring any and all questions, and I'll be sending them along to Sammy, who will fit them in as best she can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
We're going to disappear for the whole thing now, but I am taking notes, and I recommend that you do the same or just listen and donate if you can. Thank you guys so much. Awesome.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. So
let's go, Sammy.
Yeah, let's do this. Thank you so much for tuning in and choosing to spend this time listening and learning with us. Today, we're going to be talking about all things blackity black. We're going to be addressing the inherent systematic oppression that seeps through our industry and what we as artists want to see change. I'm going to bring on some of my favorite Black creatives to kind of just talk about their personal experiences in the industry. And it's going to be really dope. We have some amazing people coming on, and some people are going to be sharing their gifts and their stories, and I feel like everyone will learn a lot. I want to start by singing a little verse of a song that's been on my heart lately, and it's really helped me put things into perspective. So yeah. I've had some good days. I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days and some sleepless nights. But when I look around and I think things over, all of my good days outweigh my bad days, and I won't complain. Yeah, so
Yes.
this is not an hour and a half of a bunch of Black artists complaining online, even though Black people have every reason, every right to complain. That's just not in us. We don't want you to see it as that. This is a time for us to give fact, experience, and demand change. And I know that Sky and I are both really young, but that doesn't mean our voices don't matter. That doesn't mean that our experiences don't count. So we're just going to use this platform to just kind of shed a light on the harsh realities of our current world. So with that said, our first two incredible guests are the one and only diva, Nikenji.
Hey!
We have incomparable Kevin McAllister joining us today.
Kevin.
Hey,
Forever, right?
I know. I feel like it's a reunion because we haven't seen each other.
Forever. Yeah.
I want to touch the screen. Hi.
Mackenzie and Kevin are both world-renowned vocalists and actors, and they're truly the best singers and performers I've ever witnessed in real life, and you'll ever witness when you come see Carolina Change when Broadway comes back, whenever that may be. And Mackenzie plays the moon, and Kevin plays the bus/dryer. So I just want to start this off by asking how you guys are doing. How are your spirits? How have you been keeping up with your mental health? Like, what do your days look like lately? Kevin, we'll start with you.
Being a Black man right now is a little scary. I've had a lot of fits of anger. I've had a lot of fits of depression and confusion and musicality and artistry, and then back to confusion and depression and anger. So it's been this ongoing cycle, but I've been trying to find a way to channel energy into productivity as opposed to just complaining and posting. You know, I've been working with my company here. I own a Black-owned theater company in Baltimore. That's really been focusing on advocacy and running free education classes. And so we're really trying to take all the mess that's going on and all the disease and both physical and spiritual disease that's going on and trying to make the world a better place, I guess.
Yes.
But it's been a little rough. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I miss a rehearsal.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Good lunch break is helpful every now and again, and just people being around other artists, being able to sing and celebrate is kind of null right now. So yeah, it's been okay.
Yeah.
Like you said, I won't complain. And just
There you go. That's the spirit.
like
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah.
How about you, Mackenzie?
Oh wow, it's been a whirlwind. I have my depressing days and I have my uplifting, energized days. You know, that thing of, you know, every time you fall, you just get back up, right? It's been, you know, I'm very good at being able to separate things. So, as we all like to say, you put on a smile and, you know, go about your business, and no one would ever know anything was wrong, or you were like holding the entire weight of the world on your shoulders. But
Right.
This, you know, as a mother, you know, I've been very vocal about making sure that my daughter's school, now she's 5 years old, but for me, the teaching, you know, it's never too soon to start teaching. And
Right.
so,
Right.
with my daughter, I've been teaching her, you know, what's been going on. And I made sure that her school addressed it with materials that they shared with parents, you know, parents who have admittedly said that they don't know how to talk to their kids about this, you know, or be able to have a conversation about this. And so there's like, if you look out there, the materials are out there to help you. You know, no one expects parents to have all the answers, you know what I mean?
Right.
And with that said, as parents, we are continuously learning too, and we learn from our children. So with that said, I started a kind of a awareness for her school. They've been talking about it in their classes, you know, and of course a little hard because it's a immersion school. So like my daughter is she's learning it from me, but she's also learning it from her teachers in Spanish. And trying to go that barrier of, you know, teaching the child a different language and trying to explain this to them. And it's been working really good. You know, we did like a chalk writing session outside in my neighborhood in Jersey City, where all the kids from the neighborhood came, and there's this big open space that's in front of all the markets. You can't go anywhere without passing by this huge space, this walk area. And so you had all these kids come together of all ages, writing with chalk, you know, like peace and justice for all, and you know, remember their names and Black Lives Matter, and parents coming in and just helping them and supporting this. So I'm trying to do my part for, you know, the kids, and my you know, it's only but so much I can do with
Right.
But you know, you do what you can. And, you know, I've gone to a few rallies as well and have been just felt the energy and all peaceful rallies and all just keeping us motivated and trying to create the change. It's step by step every day. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's about educating. It's about demanding what we know is right, and creating allies to make that happen.
For sure. Yeah. Oh man, that's incredible that you're doing that. I definitely feel like it does start like young, starts
early.
Youth.
Yeah.
All
and
right.
it's youth, like you two, starting.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's so wonderful. There's so many of these rallies that you have such intelligent, focused youth that are speaking and expressing themselves, and it's just so wonderful. Like, I feel like we are in good hands if the youth is continuously being able to, demand and not taking anything for less. And so, like, we're in good hands and continuously teaching kids from as my daughter's age, 5 years old.
Yeah.
Right. I always tell Sammy how lucky she is, because we had Dear Evan Hansen together. We never had people of color who are older than us in that show. And we would have loved to have had that experience in our first Broadway show, of people like you guys to go to and be like, is this wrong? Should I be feeling like this is just myself? Is this what Broadway's like? And we didn't have that. And I think that's one thing that really does need to change.
Yeah, I agree.
Hard in general, because we're often in a world where there's so many people who are higher up than us, so you don't really know how much you can say and to whom. And
yes.
Recently, we've taken the lid off of that and kind of been like, we have suppressed our voices for a long time, and this is what's been going on, and these are the people who have been responsible, and this is how institutions can improve that. So I think things like this are great, because it brings to light the people you don't think you've hurt, or the people you don't think, you know what I mean? So seeing someone stand up who you thought was very fine with everything that was going on, and hearing them say that, hey, there has been occasions where you have been in the room and this has happened, and you didn't you didn't say anything, or you could have prevented. So this is great. So thank you for having this. And Nick, thank you for the background. I mean, come on.
I know, look at that background.
My piano over there. I play it every day.
All right. So talking on, like spaces and what it's like being a black body in certain spaces. I know that you both do a lot of classical as well as musical theater. I'm interested in knowing like what it's like in the opera world for people of color, for Black people, and like what experience, like if you have any specific experiences or just like your experience in general of what you've seen and what you've encountered in the opera world.
When I first started, many years ago, there wasn't a place for people of, I mean, there was a place for us, but it was either extremely featured or way in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in between, this is just something I do, or I'm just kind of in the middle. So you either were a star or you were very much like chorus. And there wasn't a lot of understanding of our complexion. There wasn't a lot of understanding of how to do makeup and how to, especially when I first started, because the problem was I needed experience to get experience, if that makes sense. And when I would get cast in a lot of these operas, I would get coated in these wonderful colors for my neighbor's skin tone that did not match mine at all. So I would go on stage and be kind of orange and be like kind of magenta smear. Like, can I talk to the director? Because director's calling me out, like, Kevin, you're pulling focus. And I'm like, because I'm red. My hands are red. My face is red. But it's a thing now. It's still a thing. I mean, 2 years ago, there was controversy at the Met because they're doing pieces like Aida, and Anna Netrebko is doing blackface. You know, so there are things where the problem is we don't have enough people in power, and we really didn't have enough people in power 20 years ago. So people saying, hey, we need more Black people to step in and look at the Black people on stage. Be like, hey, this is how we can feature them. Hey, maybe we don't need to do this show after show after show where a Black person plays a slave. There's just there's a way of looking at narratives that maybe can uplift a little bit more. And so I kind of stepped out of the classical world because I found that a lot of what I was being asked to do was bordering on the ridiculous or the extremely oppressed. And nowadays, but there are great pieces like Janine Tesori, who we all love and adore, has just recently done an opera with Tazewell Thompson that's been at, I think it's at Washington Opera, called Blue, about police injustice and a person of color being killed and stuff like that. So there are up and coming artists. You got Angel Blue, who just did her thing. And so, you know, I think the scope of it is changing slowly, but there's always only been one or two. There's always only been like a Jesse or a Leontine, you know what I mean? They're very, they share the spotlight. And so I think if classical world is going to continue, which I hope it does, which we know it will, there has to be room made. There has to be an understanding that what we bring solely from the idea of our culture has to be appreciated and respected differently than what was written 300-400 years ago. You know, the stories we tell, Verdi opera has a different meaning now, especially in today's society. So we need to look at, if I put a person of color in these roles, how do I embrace their heritage? How do I embrace what they may bring to this without compromising the integrity of the piece? So yeah, the fight I've had has just been, you're Black. Yay. Or you're Black.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, who do we put him with that's going to make sense? So
yeah,
the scope of it and the training of it has been great. It has preserved my voice for many shows, as and Mackenzie I'm sure can tell you. But it's difficult. It's difficult to find that album cover that looks like you, to find that story that tells your story. It's difficult to feel universal in opera sometimes, even though I feel a lot of the stories are, but finding a way to get around what people expect it to be, if that makes sense. Yeah. So my struggle has been one that has caused me to kind of pull back from it. I do miss it on occasion, but the training is a part of my daily structure. So I'm still using what I've learned, and I teach now other people that material, but I know it's a rough road ahead. So.
What about you, Mackenzie?
Well, for me, it's interesting because, you know, I kind of fell into the opera world by accident. I think when I was 12 years old, I went to a vocal teacher at Harlem School of the Arts to teach me how to improve on my riffs. I wanted to learn the Whitney riffs and the Mariah Carey riffs, and I was singing for her. And next thing you know, I was learning songs from the 24 Italian songbook, and I'm like, why am I learning this? And her standpoint was, you need to have the bel canto training so that your foundation is so solid that you can do the Whitney stuff and you can do the jazz stuff and you can do all these things. And what really hit me was going on a field trip with my school and seeing Leontine Price. It was a dress rehearsal of Leontine Price doing her farewell performance of Aida at the Metropolitan Opera House, and seeing, as a young Black woman who wasn't raised with opera, you know, I was raised with like Motown music. My mother loved Smokey Robinson, and, you know, like it was just like all of that, Ashford and Simpson, so opera was very, very new to me, and seeing this amazing Aida production of Leontine Price, seeing someone that looked like me on stage, made me want to pursue opera.
Yeah.
Then I was very, very, how can we say this? I wouldn't take no for an answer. I still don't. But I was very focused, very like, this is what I'm going to do, whatever. And then, you know, what made me want to go into opera, which was seeing Leontine Price singing it. And then I get into the world of opera and realizing that there's only one Leontine Price. And when I would get cast in, you know, I was through training of Aspen and Tanglewood and all the going to Israel and singing, was like, I was the token. Yeah. There was one other person, but you know, it's what made me want to get into opera, made me realize that there's so few of us. And
right.
It's not that we're not out there because there's so much talent. And a lot of us as Black singers, Black opera singers, tend to go to Europe to get work. Okay, because in Europe we are considered exotic and we have a different sound, a different richness in our sound that they're not used to. So they hire us in Europe, but then we can't get work in our own country of America that we were born and raised. So that was a problem that I was very bothered by. I love opera. I love the fact that opera is, you know, it's of so much culture, you know, and all of these operas from Germany, these composers, German, Italian, French, you know, it's hard to be a Black singer in the opera world. You know, they only have room for, and I feel like that, you know, they're trying to change that, some are, you know, but you have people who have a certain look in their heads and they've been directing these operas for 20 to 30 years or conducting these operas for 20 and 30 years. And they are so hooked on, well, this is how we did it with, you know, Joan Sutherland. Right. This is how we did it, you know, and then if anyone like Kathleen Battle, when she got fired from the Met, you know, you think that Kathleen Battle did something that, Maria Callas, it was very difficult to work with. She didn't get fired, but if we speak up too much,
we're done.
Suddenly we're done. We're blacklisted. We don't, you know, we can't work anymore. And Kathleen Battle was a huge idol of mine. Like, I loved Kathleen Battle. Like, I worshiped the ground that woman walked on, and she just had the most immaculate voice ever. So I was just devastated when Kathleen Battle got like fired from the Met. But with that said, I keep going because I always see like the lining, in the cloud. I'm always just like, okay, well, it hasn't been done yet. Well, I'll be the first one to do it. Yeah. You know, or creating our own projects, you know, like I'm creating a Dorothy Dandridge musical, but it also takes music from the Carmen Jones. So we have Bizet music in that. So it shows that yes, we can do classical music in a musical. It's sometimes we have to just kind of decide, okay, well, if you're not going to give this role to me because of my color, well, I'm going to create a project that is going to, you know? So with that said, it's always been hard. I've been in scenarios where, you know, we can't cast you as Mazetta because you're too tiny. You know, you can't do that. Everyone's going to look so big. Really, in reality, it was just like, you're Black. Yeah. You know, and and this was being in a young artist program for an opera company. And then eventually they did cast me in that role, but it was after fight after fight, argument after argument. Like, why did I have to work so hard for you to realize that I was the best person for that role? Yeah. You know? And so it's always everything that I've gotten when it comes to a feature or a starring role in the opera world, I've always had to fight for it. It was always such a hard fight. And sometimes we just get tired. Yeah. We get tired. So, but I hope, you know, that every day something new is happening. Every day someone is creating a new show, a new story, something that is, you know, someone has a new idea. Someone is now like pulling changing that and changing that so that my daughter, when she is old enough to decide what she wants to do, none of these areas of music is limiting to her.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah. And with that, were you going to sing something?
I was going to sing something. Let me do like my little setup here. Okay. So there is an aria that I love and I felt was very appropriate for this forum because it's an aria from Dido and Aeneas. It's Dido's Lament by Henry Purcell, which was written, centuries ago, but still feels like it's relevant to our struggles today. The lyrics I'll recite for you. It's when I am laid in earth, may my wrongs create no trouble in my breast. Remember me, but don't forget my fate. So every time I listen to this aria, I think of the saying of remember their names, remember me. And for me, it's so connected to us where we have all these lives that have been torn away from us much too soon due to police brutality, and justice has not been served. And so we are constantly remembering their names so justice can be served. And yes, we know that they're gone, but justice still needs to be served. So with that said, this is When I Am Laid from Dido and Aeneas. When I am laid in earth, may my wrongs create no trouble in my breast. When I am laid in earth, may my wrongs create no trouble in my breast. Remember me, not forget my faith. Forget my fate. Remember me. Remember me. Forget my fate.
Wow. Oh, incredible.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh my God.
It was so incredible. Thank you guys so much for coming in and sharing your experiences and your gifts. That was incredible. I love you guys.
Amazing, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
having us.
You.
And I can't wait to see Carolina Change.
Yes.
They left so quick.
Yeah, so quick.
All right. So just a reminder that the link below, you can donate to the NAACP. All these, we have amazing artists coming up next. All right. So next we have Marisha Wallace.
Marisha!
Hi. Oh my goodness.
up?
How are you guys?
For coming on here. All right, so Marisha, as you all probably already know, Broadway star, West End phenomenon. You may have seen her feet in the West End production of Dreamgirls, and now she's here talking to us, and I'm so happy.
I'm so
How
happy
are
to
you?
be here. This is great what you're doing. Education is the key, so this is very important.
Yeah, thank you. So how are you doing? How is it? You're in London right now, or are you in the UK?
Yes, I'm in London. Well, I was here because I had just finished Waitress, and then I was going to go do Hairspray at the London Coliseum, the revival. I was going to play Motormouth. It was exciting, great. I was 3 days into rehearsal, and then they were like, nah, just shut it down. So I stayed because they moved the date back, thinking, oh, it's going to happen now in September. So I've been kind of waiting around because we haven't got the official, it's canceled because we're in a different country. So, it's all the rules are different in every country. So I've been here and, it's been just a roller coaster. I was just kind of getting okay with, being not doing my shows and being unemployed and like dealing with that. And then this happened. Then
right. Perfect storm.
On top of it was just like, whoa, okay. But I do think this is a good thing. I feel like nobody was listening before because they were so busy. They were working. We would have gone on business as usual. George Floyd would have been killed. We would have did our 8 shows a week singing and dancing with a smile on our face.
Yeah,
or we would have just been sad in the corner by ourselves. And then everyone else would have been singing and dancing and going on about their lives. So I do feel like this is an important time for us to take a moment to just think about what's actually happening. Because I was talking to one of my best friends last night, who is a white guy, works in wigs on Broadway, and just to hear him be like, oh my God, I can't believe they killed them like that. And I was like, well, that's happened like 12 times.
It's happened forever.
And he was like, I know, but I never really looked at it until now. And to have somebody that close to me say that just tells you the scope of what is actually going on in the world. Mm-hmm. So it's been a lot. The mental health has been challenged, but I am a very positive person, and I have used my time to do my art and use my art as activism. So, and I feel like my contribution is to spread hope, joy, and love, because that's what I believe is going to change everything. I feel like when you hear it from your friend that they've been hurt by racism, it's different than when you hear it just from a Google lookup. Because there was a lot of Black people who were saying, I don't want to teach white people stuff. And I was like, well, if you don't teach them, who's going to teach them? Because we're going to go online and we're going to read, of course, But if you hear an account from your friend that you love, it's going to be different. It's going to hit different. It's going to hit different than George Floyd. George Floyd was intense. But to see it be your friend who also feels the same way, it's different.
It's different for sure. How is it in London? Like, I know there are like a few protests going on. Is there like the same movement in the West End, like Black theater community as there is like
Broadway Advocacy Coalition? Is there some sort of uprising?
It is. We just did a Stand By Me challenge where we got hundreds of people to post all on the same day singing Stand By Me, and we challenged our white counterparts to stand by us. Are they going to stand by us? in these times when we need them the most. So that's kind of what we've been doing. There's more movement. People are just talking more. But I feel like Broadway is really like
Lighting
talking
up
about their specific experiences. And that has been very hard for me because as a Black person, I have made a career of being the token Black girl. Like that's been my money, my house, my life, my everything is from being the token Black girl. Yeah. So I was the one who was chosen. So because the ones who weren't chosen have been speaking out. And then what if you were the one that was chosen? Yeah. So then it puts a whole nother layer on it. Yeah. Because then you feel it's almost like that slave master mentality. Right. Yeah. The house slave versus the field slave. That's right. That is how you feel because like, but he gave me a better life, but still your brother is hurt, and still you've been hurt, even in your house slavery. You're still a slave. Yeah. Even in the master's house, you're still a slave.
Yeah, we've been conditioned to normalize.
It's like it's just so deep. There's so many layers to this thing that people can't just see it as black and white. It's not just black and white. There's so many layers to it. There's so many layers even in our own Black Broadway community. We have been torn apart because we have been chasing one or two people getting the roles. So then all of us Black people are like fighting against each other because why did you get it over me? Because there's no space. There's no space.
Right.
How can you live where there's no space? That's why I left. And that's the reason why I stayed here, because there was just more space. I was like, I just want to have space to do what I do, to not have to compete with my brothers and sisters, but to uplift them and encourage them because I have space. And that's that I feel like that's where a lot of the contention comes in, even in our own community, because the space has not been made for us. Yeah. Exactly. Like I've been the only Black girl. I was the only Black girl in Something Rotten. Yeah. The only Black girl, and I understudied a white role. And that was like crazy to me because when I got to go on, I was playing opposite Brian Darcy James. And it was kind of like, how has this never happened? How is this like, how is this, you know what I mean? Like, how is this never, why couldn't I just be the role? Because that's not even a possibility that I could just be the part. How is that not a possibility? It's and then like with Wicked, we were just talking about this the other day. Brittany, is that her name? Brittany? Yeah. She played Glenda, and they were celebrating, and she was the understudy. I'm like, why is she not the role?
The role, right? Exactly.
Don't celebrate. She should be the lead. The understudy should be Black, and the standby should be Black.
Right.
All Black.
And it's easy to do that. It's easy to do that. It is very easy to find proper Black talent.
There, yay, whoa, which I'm excited for her. But I'm like, don't give yourself a pat on the back, Wicked, because you still haven't, you can't give yourself a pat on the back for something that you should have done in the first place.
Yeah.
But, or for something, you still haven't gone far enough.
Yeah. Right.
Go further. That's a great step. But in the 20-year run of a show, it shouldn't just be the understudy. It should be more than that. And I think now we want more. We don't want revenge. We want equality.
Yeah.
Right.
That is what's important. And I think that is what's so beautiful about it, because revenge means malice. Equality is positive. Equality gives you options. We want options. That is the key. So I feel like as a people, and I'm so proud of you guys, you're the young generation, it's going to be different for you because of what's happening now. But it starts with you. So you can't accept the racism anymore. It can't be done.
No,
we won't.
We have to do what we have to do to survive. Yeah. This is why that's why you take the token Black role. That's why you shut up and don't say anything. That's why you just keep your mouth closed and go on. You want to pay your bills. You want to get asked to do another show.
Yeah, for sure.
We have had a muzzle on us for years. And to be the good Black girl, the quiet Black girl who didn't cause any problems, got me very, very far.
Yes.
But is it right?
Yeah,
No.
no.
It's not right.
Is it right?
Yeah.
And also, a lot of the anger that some people may be experiencing from Black people is because there is no space. And there is no opportunity. And there's no understanding of different cultures. Like, you have to understand that if I ask for something, like, say, for instance, I need a bobby pin or I need a wig or something. If I say, hey, can I have a bobby pin or whatever? I have to go in there literally like tiptoe. Like, hi.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Can I please have a bobby pin? I just so they don't think that I'm a problem.
Yeah, that's so real.
It's so real. It's so real.
That's what I've had to do for 15 years. It's like, be like, hi, I'm not a problem. I just need something. And then I could see my white counterparts go in and be like, I hate my wig. It's
my God.
Scream at them and they don't say a thing. Actually, they bought her like a birthday, like a cupcake the next day.
Oh my God.
What happened.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff we're talking about.
It's very small. It's like, if you don't experience and you don't live through it, you don't know. Like,
you have no idea.
You have no idea. But that specific example is so real. I found that as soon as I, like, no matter even off of Broadway, just in theater in general, I am constantly tippy-toeing. Sky can relate. We were both in Dear Evan Hansen together. We would tiptoe around people and, like, try not to take up space unless we were like performing, because that's always deemed as too much, too aggressive,
you never want to.
Yeah.
You never want to stand out. Yeah, you don't ever want to stand out because you're.
But I feel like my mom even taught me that from a child.
Yeah, exactly.
She would be like, "You can catch more flies with honey." That's what she would say.
That's completely
right. So that's what I learned to do. I learned to be like, okay, let me not. My tone. I would always have to change my tone. Code switching.
Yep.
Yes. Your voice goes a little bit higher when you need to get something that you need. When you're like, oh my God, can I please? I really need to get this. Can I? Thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you're acting on stage and you're acting off stage? It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Sunday comes and you're done.
Like, okay, this girl has been in how many shows? 7 or 8 shows. She obviously knows what she's talking about. There's no malice here. We're all just trying to get a job done. But any little infraction as a Black person, that's taken as you're a diva. You're a diva.
Right.
You're you're not. And I've seen my white counterparts go overboard. Like, I was like, I could never do that. I could never say that.
Yes.
I could never.
We've seen that too.
I was like, well, good for her, because I can't never say that.
You have seen that though.
Yeah. I could never do that.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. And I feel like that's a bias and a racism that people don't understand unless you live that life. Now, I will say that it's so many layers to the whole thing that people do come off unprofessional because they're angry, because they're like, well, you didn't listen to what I said, so now I have to scream. Like, or you didn't, or I wanted this and I saw this other person get it and you didn't get it. So then it just causes all of this tension. So I think if people are more cognizant of how we treat each other, period.
Yeah.
Right.
It literally, you have to check your bias. And I think that is what people are doing now, checking their bias and being like, hey, let me see where I can improve.
Yeah.
We all have racial bias. Let's be real. Every single person does.
Yeah.
Even if you're Black, you got racial bias towards other groups or other people or whatever. We all have it. Right. So we just have to check ourselves. And as a theater community, it's time for the theater to be truly diverse. Not just talk about it, not just play at it, not be like, oh, we got Hamilton, or we got 2 Black people in Dear Evan Hansen, yay, hallelujah. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. We're not just putting Black people in 10 years into the run of a show to give it some ticket sales boost.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that anymore either. That's out. It's diversity, and that's Black people, Asians, Indians, trans, gay, whatever.
Yeah.
There needs to be diversity, period. And I feel like as a Black person, I don't even feel like the theater belongs to me. I don't feel like it belongs to me. I feel like I give my gifts away because I don't get to see people who look like me in the audience.
Yeah.
I don't even feel like Black people own the theater. Like they don't have ownership over the theater as a concept, as a so because like this is why theater runs. Your grandma took you to the theater, your mama went to grandma, mama, and everybody. It's a generational thing. We don't have that as Black people.
No.
It's few and far between. Some people have, but it's few and far between because Black people don't feel like this was made for them.
No.
Right.
And it's not.
It's not. It's not. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
So don't just use us for our talent. We are also a part of the demographic. That's the other thing. Community outreach. Why is no one going into these schools, going into these communities, finding these people, these interns? Get Black interns in your production staff, on your casting roster. Go find those Black interns at those schools. Go find Black people to be interns on the stage management team, on the company management team. Go find them. Open it up. Yeah. Because I feel like Black people don't even know these jobs exist.
They don't.
That's another problem.
We don't. Yeah.
I know I'm going all night, but
I know.
But I do feel like there's so much that needs to be done access wise. Yeah. We need to give people access. That's because we're all talking about the problem. What is the solution? The solution is access. Yeah. Give people access to this. Make, like at those HBCUs, historical Black colleges, the theater programs are nowhere near where they should be. Yeah. Stage management programs, nowhere near where they should be. Production, lighting, sound. How many Black sound guys have you met?
None.
Another thing, how are there not many Black choreographers? Yeah. That kills me because if we can't do anything, we can sing and dance. Yeah. That's true. If they don't think we can do anything, we can sing and dance. But to see our moves being put on by a white choreographer and the Black people in the show, they like assist the white person and don't get any royalties, no credit. And then it comes down to financials, the money, because the choreographer gets a percentage of the box office sales and the artistic royalties. But they take the artistic integrity of the Black actors and dancers in the show and they get no money for it because they don't have the name choreographer on it. Yeah. Yep. It's not right. Not right.
Not right.
It's not right. It needs to be stopped. And I know Black choreographers out there, Ricky Tripp being one of them. He's been trying to break through. He's worked for the best. Andy Blankenbuehler, all of them. He's done all of them. And he still hasn't gotten his shot. How is that? Yeah. He made up a lot of the moves in Hamilton. Yeah. Yeah. It's like this hidden thing. And just so that we don't run out of time. Yeah, we gotta go. Ciara, did you want to sing anything? Yes. Well, I just released a single just a couple weeks ago, and it just hit top 13 on the charts.
Yay!
That's awesome. With Beyonce. Hey. Lady Gaga's number 1, and I'm number 13. So this is lit. It's exciting. And I'm going to sing that song for you. All the money goes to, all from the streams and from you watching the video, goes to Mad Trust UK and Broadway Cares. Broadway Cares has pledged $125,000 to Black anti-racism groups. So that is definitely something great to do. So download it, stream it, and that's it. But this is for all of you. Thank you for watching. We do have hope. that this generation is going to get it right. So I hope that this has been helpful and not just us talking about our problems, but let's get to a solution. Here we go. The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow till there's none. When I'm stuck with a day that's gray and lonely, I just stick out my chin and grin and say, oh, the sun will come out tomorrow, but you gotta hang on till tomorrow. Come with me. Tomorrow, I love you tomorrow. You're always a day away. The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow till there's none. When I'm stuck with a day that's gray and lonely, I just stick out my chin and grin and say, oh, the sun will come out tomorrow. I love you tomorrow. You're always a day away. Tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow, you're always a day away.
Oh my God. That was amazing.
Oh my
Thank
God.
you so much.
Oh,
Wow.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for
being
this.
here.
Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
thank
Bye,
you so
guys.
much.
I love you.
Bye. That was incredible.
That was insane. Oh my God, I'm shaking.
I was really crying. Wow, that was insane. Wow. All right. If you're just joining us because this is live, reminder that please keep donating to the NAACP.
Donate.
The link is right there. All right. So next we have two young Broadway stars, Celia, and we have Shereen. Hey!
Celia, what's up?
Hey!
What's up?
Oh, thank you both for doing this. This is so incredible. I'm so thankful that I could be here and be a part of this.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing to talk. This is amazing. How are you guys doing? Like, how is everything going for you mentally? Like, what's up?
Shereen, you want to go first?
Yeah, it's a lot. I feel like every conversation I get on, which rightfully so, is about race and what I want to do to kind of like change every system, because everything has a system, right? Musical theater has one, institutions have one, and so every conversation we kind of get on, I think I ended in a different place of like, I'm going to write this open letter to this thing, or wanting to go and like find some kind of joy because it just like sucked all the air out of like my room.
Right.
And you know, it just depends on each conversation. Some of them make you want to like get up and shout from the rooftops about like all the problems, and some of them make you want to kind of like curl up and do something for yourself for a second. So yeah, it just depends.
Yeah, fair. How about you, Celia? How are you?
I'm in the same place. It's just right now I think I'm in the more the curling inward and trying to protect my spirit and my soul just because of all of the death and decay that's going on in the world. And I'm trying to remain positive, and there's not a lot to be positive about right now.
Right.
But I think continuing the work and knowing that the work that we're doing right now is so important, and that people are continuing to educate themselves. I maintain hope, and I think that's all I can really do. It's rough being Black in this country right now. It's rough being a Black woman in this country right now.
Sure.
But I think the best thing for my spirit right now is to just know when to take a step away and say, you know what? Exerting myself is hurting me more than it's helping others, and respecting and forgiving myself when I need to take a step back and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And on that, Celia, like, what is it like to be the only Black principal in your show? I mean, like, as a young artist, I know it's like your Broadway debut, and like you've been there since the beginning. Like, what was that creative process like for you?
It had its challenges, of course. I think I was really lucky with the creative team that I had. Even though the creative team was all white, they were very receptive of my issues and receptive of what I had to bring to the table. There were moments in which I had to sort of, since the writer was white speaking on Black stories, there were moments where I had to pull her aside and say, hey, this is something I would love to include as a Black female playing opposite to white people. I think it would be awesome if we talked about white saviorism, and if we talked about how Frankie's battle with that. But being one of the youngest and being the only Black principal, it was, of course I had to be the only Black principal for the storyline.
Right.
But I think it was rough trying to, I didn't feel as though I was really represented, or that I felt like I had someone I could look to on the creative team who looked like me and said, hey, could you fight for me? I found myself constantly fighting for myself, and it was tough, of course, but I'm not upset that I had to do it, because if I want anyone to fight for me that isn't Black, I think I would have been confusing myself. I think it's best, since I was the only Black principal, that I was capable to fight for myself, and I was grateful that I was being heard. But it was always tough feeling kind of lonely in a space that is so accepting of Black people. It was a struggle, and I'm still navigating it. And I'm really thankful that I have this time to reflect and realize what I want, because I didn't really understand it. I was just happy to be in the room because I was the only person looking like me in that room.
Right.
So I think having this opportunity to step back and say, you know what, I was picked for a reason. I was chosen to tell this story, so I should not sit back and just be thankful for anything that's given to me. I should speak up and continue to fight for me and my people in this space, because if no one else is going to do it, it might as well be me.
Yeah.
Amen.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Shereen, I feel like you kind of had, I mean, you've probably had that experience as well, but for West Side Story, that was a cast of all people of color, all, you know, different ethnicities. Did you feel more comfortable and like free artistically, even though a lot of your creative team was white? Like, how was that experience for you?
Yeah. I think that having everyone in our cast being people of color or Black and brown people, it helped, like being able to have somebody there to like look at, and I think that we all do that. You know, we have like our group chats, and we have like the people that we talk to, like you know, our friends that we look to who have maybe gone through that or are currently going through the situation of just being a Black and brown person in society, but specifically in musical theater, like it was easier to go through the situations and have those people there who were going through exactly the same thing, and someone you could like share it with. You could like go home and be like, I can talk to this person because they're going through the same experience and they look like me, and we can have that conversation. I think that it made it easier in that way. I still think that there were things that were hard for me to deal with, but I think it's also the thing of like Celia was saying, you fight for yourself, right? And you try to fight for yourself as much as you can and speak up. But sometimes I'm one of those people who doesn't really know how to confront an issue specifically on race. Like, I know that it's a problem. Like, I know that this is an issue, and I know what you're saying is wrong and you should not be saying that. But sometimes I think to myself, like, is it worth fighting for that right now? Or I'm doing this great thing, you know, I'm on Broadway, like, let's just pass it by and that person will leave and we will move on. We won't have to deal with it anymore. And I think that a lot of this time has given me the opportunity to like look at those situations and realize, not just there, just like in general, in like my life, just like situations that I've gone through and things that have been said that like actually aren't okay, and I like stomach them to like move on and live my life. But how can I confront them in the way that makes me feel comfortable? I think something that's really great that a lot of people have talked about in the movement is that Black people are not a monolith. Like, we do not all feel the same. We do not all think the same. And I think that that is totally okay. And we don't all have to deal with the situation in the same way. But how can we deal with it so that we can sit and feel satisfied at the end of the day that like we lived our life the way we wanted to, we spoke up, like we got the space to do what we had to do. Just as anybody else would. You know, I've like sat here and watched, and it's like there are so many of those stories and so many of those things that we think about of like we couldn't speak up in the same way that someone else maybe could. And I think that it's so important to like move forward with making the space for us to have the ability to speak up. If we don't need to, we don't need to, but we have that space to do it.
It's like that feeling of like feeling safe enough to speak up and not feeling that there'll be any
repercussions,
consequences to speaking your truth and sharing your experience. So what is like the one thing, I mean, there's so many things that need to change, but what's like the one thing for you that you're like, this should be at the forefront of this theater movement?
It's so tough. I know it's a tough question.
I have two, and like it's like at the forefront of my mind. It has to happen. So one of them is the idea that a lot of people have been throwing around is that we like get rid of colorblind casting. Like, it doesn't exist unless you're actually colorblind. Like, you can see the skin color. Like, you can see it. So let's not pretend. Like, the thing is, like, you see it and let's accept it and move on. And it's something that other people have talked about as well. It's like, let's not like go off and like 10 years later it's like, yay, we have all of these Black people in this show, we should take a photo of them and post it online and talk about how we're being so diverse. No, give the person the role that deserves it, right? And I say that with the caveat of us, obviously, like, we're doing things like Tina Turner or Cher. You know, you want them to look like the actual person that you see in front of you. So that's a little difficult. Or I'm doing West Side and like she's Puerto Rican. You know, we'd like for that person, their ethnicity, they're Hispanic. But if it's a place like, and I'm not picking this show for any reason, but if it's like Arendelle, it is a made up land. It's a made up land. We don't know who lives in Arendelle. Anyone could live in Arendelle. And so therefore, like, give it to whoever is right for the show. I'm not saying hand things out to Black and brown people. No, we're very talented. We will get it on our own merit. Just give us the opportunity to start in the same place that all of our white counterparts are starting at. Let's all just start in the same place and have the same opportunity. So that's my one of like for the in the room. And then my other one is something that someone I know said, which was advocacy. And I've had that discussion with other people in my show, and someone brought it up here as well, that we need to have a space where people aren't forced to, but have the ability to talk about issues that either happen in your show, happen in life, and go into like public schools and go and talk to people who do not have arts education. Because I know that I was incredibly lucky that I lived a nice life and my parents were able to take me to Broadway and able to do all these things. They had the funds to do all of that, to put me in private lessons and all that stuff. But that doesn't exist for everybody. And I know that I'm the first person in my family who's ever done theater, ever. And I know that my parents are deathly afraid that I'll end up like homeless and hungry. But like being able, you know, like anybody is, being able to give that space to like other people to see, first of all, you can do it and be successful. Also, it could just be a hobby and something that you enjoy and something that is better than going and seeing like really hard things in society. We need to deal with those things too, but an outlet, like they need an outlet. And I think that we talk about in musical theater that we're so accepting, and we talk about all these stories and we want to bring up people who are marginalized and all this stuff, but then we're not actually going into the communities of the people who are marginalized. We're not actually talking to them. We're talking to people who can afford a $500 ticket, which I appreciate you because you helped the business model for me to get paid. Thank you. But also, like, we need to talk to the other people who can't pay and don't, or just don't know it exists. Like I think Sky said it. It's like Broadway performers don't go to the job fair. We don't like stand there with a table and we're like, yes, you can be a Broadway performer one day. No, that doesn't happen. But also, yes, I'm not saying the job fair is the best way, but why not? Like, why can't we go? And like, why can't we talk to them and explain to them that this is an option for them and that they can explore it? You know, we get to explore math and science and reading. Like, why can't they explore theater in some way? And their backyard is literally Broadway.
Like, that's what me and Sam were just saying. You know, Lincoln Center was built on a housing project in like 1962. They demolished like 10 blocks of housing projects.
Where West Side Story took place. Yes.
And these kids still live there on 64th Street and have no idea what Broadway is.
Yeah,
Isn't that horrifying?
Yes. That is my like backyard. And it's just crazy to see that like there are actually people out there that only see like an album on your phone or a movie or a TV show, but they live where the heart of musical theater is. And they don't know that it exists. Like, we have an obligation. If we say that we want to change and that we want to help our community, we have an obligation to those people because they're our community. Like, they're the future. If we want to make change, like, we've gone through all of our experiences. We can try to change the future for us, but we have had our scarring situations and all those things. The people who haven't are the younger kids, and they maybe aren't there yet. So let's try to not have them scarred for life and have to deal in the same way that we have. Absolutely. Like, let's try to help them because, you know, I want to help myself. We all do. We want things to be better, but they're right now, at least I think they're the forefront of our minds. It's younger people. It's trying to fix the world for them.
Yeah.
Yes. Agreed. 100% agree.
Those are my thoughts.
Great. And like Sky and I were talking, like producers, like there's so much money. There's so much money. There's so many tax dollars that are taken out of paychecks. There's so much money.
Exactly. Wouldn't we want our tax dollars to go to that rather than policing and to other things that we have no idea where it's going? Like, if White Broadway wants to help, why don't they start there? It's the easiest thing to do. Isn't it? Free tickets.
We take hours of doing photo shoots and interviews and press
for free.
Why is it one of those hours? For free. For free.
Which is an
issue. We do that. So why not for free? We go and talk to the community. Why don't we go help people for free instead of like, you know, I love getting my picture taken, but maybe we do something else with that time because I can get my picture taken any day of the week. We do photo shoots like literally every week. If it's 1 week or 1 day in a month, then we go talk to somebody. Like, the biggest thing we've learned is that conversations are helping us. Even if it's a small conversation with one person, it's moving things forward. So why are we neglecting these conversations that still need to be had?
It's not being seen. People just don't see it. They don't care. They don't want to see it. They just want to get their money and walk away. And it's a shame because they can have more faces like us in the theater community and have more talent, but these kids have no idea it even exists. And that's a crime.
Yeah.
And I think it's because part of the issue, the people in control, they're not worried about us because they don't look like us.
Yeah, they're not worried about us.
I think one of my major things that I wish there were more people of color, especially Black people, in creative teams, because you find it so interesting. I saw it on Twitter the other day. There was a picture of the Once on the Silent Tony performance and then the group of people who accepted that Tony. And there was such a major difference between the two people. And we're like, how is this? How can we properly be fought for if these people have no idea what our experiences are like?
Yeah,
I know.
And then we're being asked to give of ourselves and to give of our talent, but our issues and the challenges that we face are being ignored because they're not like able to be performed in a way that doesn't make anyone else uncomfortable. I think creative teams are afraid of making people who look like them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But people have to be uncomfortable for there to be growth. Growing pains are painful, but we're still growing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I also urge any Black and brown people to like not push anything off. Like I said that before, I was somebody who like something was said to me and I was like, it didn't really matter. It's not a big deal. And especially this time has made me like go back in my life and be like, that was really toxic. And it seemed like a really small thing, but it was a problem. Like, and if it's with your friends, like it doesn't matter how close you are to them. Even if you don't say anything to them, like realize that the things that happened in your life are not okay. Like that is not acceptable. Just because you're trying to make them feel comfortable, it's still not acceptable. And you have to deal with that in your life and like come to a place where maybe you can say something. But if not, I just urge all Black and brown people, because that has been my work in this past like few months, of like look back at it and label it. Like give it a label of how bad it was and what that maybe forced you to compromise in your life later on, and how can you unlearn that? I think for Black and brown people, that's the only thing to unlearn for us, is like us figuring out how to deal with white people.
Yeah,
right. Taking up our own space, reclaiming our space. Yeah,
exactly. We all have to have the conversation, but we have to deal with ourselves a little bit to get there, to have that conversation. Sorry.
I know we're running out of time, but something Shereen said just on that note of like, don't push stuff away. Unresolved microaggressions turn into macro trauma.
Yeah.
So the things that you can do to confront the microaggressions and the trauma that is the foundation of those microaggressions, as soon as you challenge that, you can prevent yourself from growing up and being so conflicted of like, why didn't I speak up? Why didn't I do this? And it's just microaggressions turn to macro trauma. Avoid leaving microaggressions alone because they will stick with you even if you don't even recognize it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys.
This is amazing. This is informative. I hope people were listening because it's important.
Yeah, so important. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on Broadway soon. Lord Jesus.
I'll see y'all soon. Absolutely.
Bye, guys.
Right. Thanks so much, y'all.
All right. Awesome. Great. All right. So remember to please donate if there are people still watching. I know it's like an hour and 15 minutes. But Khaila, we have Khaila from Town. We have Sandra from Hamilton and Nollywood Dreams. And we have Ciara, who is Alana in Dear Evan Hansen and also has a blog called Queen of Light. So make sure you check it out. What is up, y'all?
What's up?
Hey. So much truth was just spoken.
I know.
I'm sweating. I'm like, ooh.
I'm sweating.
Oh my God. So how y'all doing? What's up, Ciara? Let's start with you.
Oh my gosh. I feel like what Shereen was saying about how there's so much like internal work that needs to be done. I have also been working through all the microaggressions I've ever had in my entire life and how they impacted the way I grew up in this world. And that has been the most eye-awakening to me. And just coming to terms with those things and finding my voice in my own way has been something that's been really, really wild.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Sandra?
I'm taking it hour by hour. I'm making sure I don't have any expectations. I think this is a time where we are able to feel our emotions. Being Black and allowing yourself to fully feel was not something that was afforded to many of us. So I'm learning how to fully feel these things and how to make sure that I'm using my emotions to glorify the cause, turning it into something that isn't detrimental to me. And when I feel like I need to take a step back, I will. I bought a few plants, just came back. Yeah. But I'm really excited because I think what makes this time feels like a cosmic shift compared to all the rest. And I think it's because everyone's demanding that there's systemic change. People are crying, but like their tears are watering growth,
Yeah.
And so I'm inspired by that, and that's what keeps me going.
Cool. How are you, Kayla?
I like that Sandra said, like I'm trying to deal with things hour by hour, literally, because there's so much happening in a day at this point in the year. Wow, I can't even say that because we're like halfway through the year and all this has already happened. And so I've been, for the first time ever, I think, actually taking a step back and looking at myself again and trying to remember the woman that I was before all this happened, because this is kind of picking with me in different areas that I didn't even realize it. And people are speaking up and I'm like, oh my God, I've been through that. Oh my God. And I didn't say anything. And it was just like, so yeah, I'm just kind of like, I've taken a full step back from social media, which has been the first time ever in my life, I feel like. And I haven't really like been, I don't know how to, I haven't been present, because I've been so just all about me and my brain right now, because my brain is in a million different places.
Right.
So fair. I was going to start this conversation off by reading a poem, but honestly, I'd rather just hear you guys speak.
Yeah, I wanted to see you guys. Wow.
And all that. So I know colorism. We all know colorism is a huge problem in our industry and in our lives as Black people in our communities. I always notice that understudies are often darker complected, or like the Black people, and then like the people they're covering, the leads, are white passing people of color, white people, or light-skinned people. Right. And I feel like that's not something that's talked about enough. What are your experiences with colorism? Do you ever feel like you've benefited from being a more digestible Black person in the industry and in life? We can start with you, Kayla.
You saw my face. I like that you said, because I was going to speak on a little bit of how I benefited from not being of the darker complexion. And sometimes it actually does come back to bite me in the ass, because sometimes I am too dark.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I'm not the super light-skinned Black girl. I'm like right in the middle. And so I am perfect for the shows that want to say, oh, I have a Black person, which I'm not saying Hadestown is that show at all, because I'm not gonna lie, my jaw dropped to the floor when I walked into the first day of rehearsal at Hadestown. And for me being the youngest cast member, all I could think of was, oh my God, so many Black and brown faces.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, like you don't walk into a room like that, especially the background that I have growing up in school and going to the university that I went to. I just didn't have that background of walking into a room with other Black and brown people. And it made me happy, and it just like brought joy to my heart. But at the same time, I've been into auditions for roles that are predominantly white, and I know I walk into the audition room and I'm the only one that's not white. And I'm the only one that's not dark skinned. And it just kind of like, it plays with your mind a little bit, especially being an understudy. Because speaking on that, being an understudy, especially under Eva, is very the pressure is on you at all times, and you are expected to be the token Black person for the events, for the the advertisement for the show. I did so much advertisement for the show before I even hit the stage. And it was very weird for me, because I almost couldn't snap out of the whole concert feeling of the show, because I've only been ever known to be the girl who does the advertising for them. So stepping out on the stage, the people have a higher expectation for you, because they're like, oh, great. Now we have to listen to this Black person the entire show sing their way.
Yeah.
You know how everybody
Right.
just has their like different. I don't know. It plays with my mind a lot, being an understudy and being a person of color. Well, being a Black woman as an understudy under someone who is still a person of color, but is still preferred over Black people. If that makes sense.
For sure. Absolutely. How about you, Sandra? Do you have?
Yeah. Well, number one, being an understudy is difficult. It's very difficult. Being an understudy while you're on stage is also very difficult. Because I was one of 5 in Chicago, so I was in the ensemble every night as well as covering the Three Sisters. When Hamilton first went up, Eliza was Asian and Angelica was Black, and Peggy was also Black, but Peggy was lighter than Angelica. And you saw different iterations of that sister trio continue to happen, though breaking that, was attempted here and there. But a character like Eliza, who is seen as bubbly, seen as beautiful, it would have been, I know for myself, playing her and for other people who are dark-skinned playing her as well, allows us to express a side of ourselves that isn't expected. I think it's expected for dark-skinned women to walk into a room and sing like Angelica, but that's not all of our truths. And colorism, when it comes to people of color as well, with being a digestible Black girl is an issue, and as well as in our community, for example, Nettie versus Celia, and Celia tying her darkness to being undesirable. Therefore, when she says "I'm beautiful," that's a huge revelation. But I would love for that to not be a revelation. I would love for that to be something you can walk on stage with. Because colorism ties into how you see yourself. It ties into your status, level of education, and a lot of work. And I know so many beautiful dark women who should not have to prove themselves and should be thought of as these amazing traits before even opening their mouths, because they exude that naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's always a surprise when people see like darker Black women be soft.
Yeah, Danae Benton, for example.
Yes.
I love Danae, and when she was Natasha, I felt like I saw myself for the first time. But the fact that we can be soft and we can be all of these things, but we're not only strong. We've got more to offer, and I'm excited for theater to acknowledge that and present that and push that narrative.
Absolutely. How about you, Ciara?
Oh my goodness. I was gonna say, kind of talking about the understudy thing, like when you carry the weight of being a Black understudy who understudies a white character, there's like 2 layers to that. There's, fighting the preconceived notion that you're second best. People already see your name and think, oh, it's not gonna be as good. So you're already fighting that. And then you're fighting, what are they going to think when this little chocolate girl comes on stage and she has white parents? So every time I go on, I think of all those things. I take a breath and I think, I hope they accept me. It's all about but my job also is to make them see this, to change their mind about this, to normalize this. You know what I mean? I know it might be uncomfortable for you, but this is why you need to watch this. This is why you need to go on. Like I was saying the other day, Black Zoe is so important. It's so important. Represents so many things. I have so many people who, even regardless of what I'm actually doing, will be like, when I saw you go up there, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe she's up there. Like what you said about when you saw Danae. It's just seeing it is like, oh my God, it's happening. They're accepting this and they're showing people that it needs to be accepted. That's what that means. There's a lot involved in Black Zoe. And I don't think when we go on for these white roles, we're showing a lot of things. We're proving a lot of things. And I think it's our jobs as artists to make people suspend their disbelief the same way they do about everything else. Like you thing when you see me on stage. It's a play. We're all playing pretend. And we're all playing pretend. Including the castmates, we just need to go on so that we can show people that this is all part of it.
I saw this thing online that was like, for some reason, theater can let everyone else play pretend except for Black people. Black people always have to fit into the stereotype, into the box that the white people have created for them. But there's so much room for pretend. There's so much I love seeing Black people just telling stories. I remember in college I played Dot in Sunday in the Park. I don't even know if that's even happened. I don't know, but
I ain't never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
I ain't never seen it.
It was so cool to like get to play a role and get to tell a story that had nothing to do with the fact that I was Black. Like I was literally, I was a love interest. I was just, it was just, I got to just act and do theater. And I feel like that whole like world for Black people is not real yet. And I think what the theater, what the industry needs. I think they need to like open their eyes to the fact that we can play pretend too, and the audience is smart enough to get over our skin color.
I also think a huge part of the conversation is the fact that for such a colorful field, a lot of people who are in charge of these decisions are seeing in Black and white. You truly do cast shows as you know, in the world that you know. When I look at a show and I see a breakdown, I immediately think of my friends. And so the circles that we walk in, you know, they tend to feed their way into our decision making. And I think we have a ton of white casting directors. There are only 2 people of color casting directors that are CSA. And so I think that's when just the decentralization of power needs to come into conversation. If you are casting a show about a group of people that you don't necessarily understand, hire someone who does. Work together, you know, share these responsibilities so that the worlds we see on stage are inclusive.
Yes. We need to be less panic casting. I think a lot of casting of Black people is panic casting. They have to fill the slot right away and find the perfect Black person who has the right dialect that sounds white, that can fit being in this white world. And like, sometimes we just don't feel like being like that. We don't feel like playing that bill. You know what I'm saying? Why do we have to be that?
Correct. We are multi-layered.
We really are.
We are nuanced. We can do it all.
We can do it all.
We really can.
Yeah.
Shereen also made such a great point about us going into these schools and, you know, bringing those opportunities to them, because I was also thinking, I saw this guy in America's Got Talent a few years ago, and one thing he said that kind of stuck with me is, you can't dream when you're busy surviving. And a lot of these places, a lot of these marginalized areas are busy surviving. So we have to bring the dreaming to them. Like in our off season, when we're collecting for Broadway Cares after shows, we can also collect for different organizations. We can go into these schools. There are so many solutions, so many ways for us to enter into the communities that we are portraying on stage, because you always hear art imitates life. So when are we going to be the life that we are imitating? When are we going to immerse ourselves into the worlds that we are portraying on stage? We need to.
Right. How many faces of color do you see at the stage door? You know what I'm saying? When you go to the stage door, it's a whiteout. You know,
girl, when you see them, it's like, girl, come here.
Right.
Exactly.
You just want to embrace them because you're just like
with them.
We used to play this game on stage. And we used to just like look out in the audience to see how many Black people were there.
We did too.
Sammy did that too.
And I know everybody.
You know what? I was in Hamilton. When I saw the most amount of Black people, it was during EduHam, which is the point that we really need to make sure we are getting these younger generations into theater.
Yeah. Why doesn't every show have that? I know
we have it. We do it every Wednesday, but they don't. Their idea of doing it is just having a bunch of kids come in and watch the show and not really explain to them like theater etiquette, things like, you know, hey, don't put your feet on a seat. Like they just bring these kids in. So the kids are talking the entire performance. And we feel like we haven't given them anything because we're kind of just over it because they're just talking. But we also have to keep in the back of our minds that they're not teaching these kids in
theater
schools.
etiquette.
So, like, we need to go in the schools and teach them these things.
They should. Important. If they have like a course or two before seeing the show, it makes it an experience for them and us. We'll see them in the audience like, hey, girl, we saw you last Wednesday at 4, you know?
Right.
There's like this barrier of like formality that I feel like needs to be broken, because if we truly do imitate life, if we truly are representing our communities, we should be part of them. They should be a part of us.
I think there's a serious disconnect too between like Sterling K. Brown and like a Black actor on Broadway. I think that like there's a mass homophobia as well linked to theater, that a lot of people are afraid of being called gay or being made fun of. I know when I grew up, I was afraid of that. You know what I'm saying? And I think we have to break that stigma for kids in inner city schools. You know, to let them know it's okay to feel emotional. It's okay to sit there and laugh and not feel like you have to be a fool. You know, like
Yeah, I agree.
That's a beautiful point.
With that, I guess our time is up. We must move on. But thank you guys so much for agreeing to do this. I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to finally hug you. So yeah.
Yes.
So all right. Thanks for tuning in. All right, let's see who else we got. All right, so make sure you keep on donating. Sis, you are next.
Yes. What's up?
Yeah. Hey, I love you. I love y'all.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you're on. How are you? How is everything going with you?
I'm doing good. I'm really happy. Like I think that's a weird thing to feel at this moment, but I love change. Like, and I am an advocate for radical change, and I think that in things like this, like in moments like this, you can be upset, and we can take this time, like do that, especially my Black folks, like do that. But I am, if y'all are marching, I'm cheering you on. Like, I'm like, look, we can do this. We're gonna make it through. If you hot and bothered, I'm cool and comfy. Like, y'all, we're gonna do this. We're gonna get to the end. You know, things like that. I think that's just like the type of person I am. And that's how I feel, because I feel right in the pocket of that change, and I know that it's gonna happen. And I know that if we keep going, it will happen.
Yeah, that's that confidence change.
Yeah.
Okay, first things first, before we get into the juicy topic, plug your t-shirts. Let us know what's good on that.
Okay, hey everyone, I'm Sis. I just started a new organization with some of my friends called the Next Generation Project, TNG, honey. We are all TNG, and it is to service the Black and Brown trans non-binary community and provide them with resources for self-care and mental health. So yes, here we go. Go to Instagram at We Are TNG Project. And if you scroll down to the bottom, because we've been posting, you can see we are selling Black Lives Matter intersect tees. And what those are basically is showing that within the Black Lives Matter movement, there is intersectionality, because Black trans lives do matter, especially trans lives. And so we're selling these shirts, and they're super cute. Me and this guy I went to school with named Jacob Smith designed them, and y'all buy them because Lin-Manuel Miranda got one, and it's gonna be amazing. So we gotta get you some. Sky gotta get one. Andrew, Alyse, everybody else gotta get one.
Yes.
And so go to We Are TNG Project on Instagram, and we can chit chat more about it on there.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so let's just like jump into some questions. What is your experience as a Black trans woman in theater? Do you feel like there is a lack of representation? How do you navigate through the world of theater as a trans woman?
By telling people you can call me sis. The reason why I started that is because when I was a year ago, like I got my agent, and like I was just starting to really get into theater, and like I was graduating college, but I started identifying as like, not started to identify, but I started to like understand myself and be like, wait, like I ain't no Black man. Like that's just something that I have never identified with, and I don't understand why people keep calling me that. And so I started to be like, I started to understand what non-binary was, but my only method of that understanding was, or gender non-conforming, was white people, like what the media represented as that. And so I was like, wow, like they, them, like I understand it, but I don't identify with that. But because of Pose and because of things like Paris is Burning and things like that, I was like, sister, like sis, like, wait, y'all, call me sis. Like, don't call me he, him. I wasn't there yet for she, her. Call me sis. Because I feel like a sister to the people in that way. So it kind of started there, navigating that. So saying like, oh, you can call me sis, instead of me trying to push this realm of like, Black people can be this too.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that has, of course, like over this year, my trans journey, my human journey, in my trans journey is my human journey, but you know, my journey, my trans journey, and also like my theater journey has become one. Yeah. Because of like me trying to be on Broadway and me trying to get in rooms and be seen as that. So I think it's been difficult because it has been so, it's like every day I get more specific. My type gets more specific.
Yeah.
For a long time, like for David Hinton, I was going in for Jared Connor Evan understudy and being able to like see those realms and do that. And then it was like, oh, you can't do that no more. Like you can't, like my mentors and other people would be like, well, if you keep going down this hole, like how you gonna be on Broadway? And I was like, myself is more important though. Like I choose a contract. So I'm gonna keep on, if I need to keep on going into these rooms singing Waving Through a Window with the full beat face and nails on, they just gonna have to accept that. Use your imagination, baby, because the nails can come off, the buns can come down, and the voice can be lowered. You know, because I'm an actor, I tell stories, and whatever is necessary to get the story told, sis gonna do.
Yeah.
So, I think that we have to. It's been a hard one, but it's been a rewarding one.
A rewarding one, yeah.
I always say like the good sis is fighting the good fight, and I was on fighting that fight because I want my world and our world and to be different and to be brighter, and I want a world where us three can be in David Hinton, like and you know, like showcase that. So it's been hard, but it's something that I'm willing to do the work for because I know that the payback is going to be tenfold.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. No. What are you gonna say?
No, I have some like things that I wrote down, and I want to say, and this is going to be like heavy, but and there's some truth to it, and I don't want to reduce it to that. But the reason why Black people and Black trans people are getting murdered is because we don't have that representation on Broadway. It's because people who are coming to see these shows, it's because they're not seeing us in this light.
Yeah.
The day that we can get, you know, I want to say the reason why I talk about David Hinton so much is because I think the thing about David Hinton is it's one of Broadway's most human shows right now, and it's so real and it shows human emotion. And I think that is the show that can be a catalyst for that change because we have this family, and like I cannot wait for Heidi to be Black. Like I can't wait for Heidi to be Black and us to have that. And I think the thing about that is like we need to show that, and especially like Black boys and dark-skinned Black boys are not just like people that we need to side-eye and people that we need to be scared of. They can have emotion and they can stutter and they can fall in love with girls and they can fall in love with boys.
Yeah.
They can be confused and they cannot understand when people are talking to them so fast. And I think that we need to showcase that heart. Like it is something that has to happen. And I think we need to like casting needs to get away from this like idea of we need to cast people that are palatable. Like I promise you, these old white people are gonna see the show.
They're gonna spend the money. Yes,
they ain't got nothing to do on Saturdays, so it'll take some adjusting, but they'll come see it. You know, and I think that's the important part that we remember. Like we just gotta keep on keeping on and fighting the good fight.
Yeah, it's like what you were saying yesterday on your interview, Sky. You were saying that they don't want to do it because it's not easy.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's easy to trust that the white will sell. You know,
right?
But they need to learn that not only white is not what sells. Like white is not the only thing that can sell. Exactly. White is not what represents our country.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Our country was built on slaves and Native Americans. There's no, there's like.
Yeah. And I think also we have to be very careful with the term people of color. People of color is something that like we got to be like, look, we Black and we're Latinx and they are Asian. Because when we say people of color, we generalize. And everything, all the shit that we've been going through gets bunched up into one, and we trying to fight this one fight when it's 5 fights. We gotta be fighting at one time. And we gotta let people know that because the issue sorry, hold on. The issue with there not being a Black Zoe is showing that, and in the majority of the time being a like a white Zoe or somebody. I don't want to discredit anybody's race, but I think we have to be mindful. Like when coming to the theater and a child is sitting in a seat and they see a color, they're going to see that color and they're going to associate that with a person. And so you don't, until you get to the stage door and you're like, oh, okay, like you're a different ethnicity or you're another color. We have to be mindful of that too, because if we don't see this dark skinned girl or this brown skinned girl with curly hair or kinky curls, we need. Right, or braids. We need to see that is beautiful, and not just on the side where Alana comes in for 5 scenes and sings the Waving Through a Window reprise and walks off, and then sings a part of Good for You. We need to humanize them. We need to see that they can go through it, and it's not just anger all the time. The cards that I have been dealt have been shitty, and so I'm not singing Requiem. Like I'm not like, and I think that is what's important. And I think that we just need to make it more. We need more color. We need trans. Speaking specifically on my trans journey, I think that when I walk into rooms, people try to make decisions for me. Don't make decisions for sis. Let sis make those decisions, because sis is the only bitch that's been in sis's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Into a room, don't make those decisions for Sky. When Samantha walks into a room, don't make those decisions for her. Let us make those decisions, and let's conversate. And I think we've gotten comfortable with walking into a room and singing a 16-bar cut that really don't have nothing to do with us or the story that we want to tell. We just singing it because our agent sent us the submission, and that's what the white folks want to hear, and then we leave. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, that wasn't what I needed. Well, maybe I could have showed you what you needed if you would have given me the opportunity. So conversations need to be had. We need to ask, like, you're trans. Are you okay with playing a realm of characters? Because I am a trans woman, but I still know the experience of a Black man. And if it came down to, well, sis, right now we have great women or great people to fill this role, and you are a great performer, and we see that you can go back and forth, because sometimes I walk into a room with a full beat, lashes and nails, and in my full cis, woman realness. But other days I walk into a room and give you a little non-binary tease, because that's just not how I'm feeling that day. And so I think that it's more so like, I can be Hercules Mulligan, but I can also be Angelica.
Yeah.
I think we need to let us have those options and transpose. Somebody on Twitter said something amazing. They said it's called transposition for a reason.
Yeah.
So you call me in to play this female role when I am a baritone, tenor, alto. And that's not even, you have to be smart about these things. And you have to be like, if we're, and I know I'm going off.
No, go off.
Okay. But I want to talk about inclusivity, because here's the thing with inclusivity. If I say, oh, we want to see sis for Audrey and Little Shop of Horrors. Sis gets the audition, and I sing Somewhere That's Green in a different key, or I sing it in a key that's lower or down the octave. That's my portrayal of that role, because that's where my voice sits. Yeah. It's not taking away changing the key. It's not taking away, messing with the score a little bit. That's the inclusivity. And we need to stop saying that, oh, we're interested in diverse and inclusive casting, so we're gonna make sure we hire Black people in this role. The roles were not the white people's role to begin with. You're not including me by telling me that I have the ability to tell a story about love. I know what love feels like. I know what hurt feels like. I know what pain feels like. So don't feel like you're doing me a favor, because you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. And also it's crazy because I ain't even got on Broadway yet. Like, and it's crazy. So I was sorry. Let me bring bring it down to say, like, I think that we need to give each other access, and we need to realize that, especially us in the Black Broadway community and the Black Broadway community almost on Broadway, like me representing, we know that if we get a slice of cake, we can divide that cake as much as we want to, and then realize we got enough talent to go make more.
Absolutely.
More cake, and let's keep it going. Keep fighting and being honest and being open. Thank you so much, Sam, for giving me this opportunity and giving me this access, because that's what us Black people got to keep on doing. There have been several nights where I've been in New York and you were walking through and I was like, dang, like he playing Jared, represented. Like, and you know, I couldn't say nothing because we don't know each other, but now we do. But thank y'all. Of course. Fighting. I love y'all. Get the shirts and keep spreading awareness about Black Lives Matter and Black Trans Lives Matter.
Amen. Thanks. Bye. All right, we have one more guest. If you're still tuned in, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Make sure you keep on donating to the NAACP at the link below. So we wanted to end it with a Black person who is behind the table, someone who has power in decisions. So we're gonna bring in Zhailon Levingston.
What's up?
Hey, what's up?
Hi, Sky. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
What's up, Samantha?
Listen, not
Thanks
much.
for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for bringing. I know you have so much stuff going on. Listen, Zhailon is the associate director on Tina Turner the Musical on Broadway, and he's also directing a billion other things. He helped me with my monologues when I was auditioning for Juilliard, like, like he's a great human being and a great creative. How are you doing? You've been watching, I'm sure. How is everything affecting you? How are you doing?
I have to answer that question day by day. So today I'm doing quite good. I've been in rehearsals all day for a couple of projects. And rehearsing on Zoom is hard, you know? It seems like we have more time, but we kind of don't. We kind of have less time. There's less time now. But it was a good day of rehearsal. I'm really, really grateful and honored to be chit-chatting with you folks. And yeah, I'm good. I'm really trying to center pleasure as much as possible. That's something I've been thinking a lot about recently. Yeah.
Which is great. Okay. I'm just gonna jump to the question. When did you decide you wanted to go the route of directing? Like, when was that, like, on the forefront?
So, in hindsight, like, I always was directing. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana, and I just come from a community where, like, you kind of had to do all the things if you want the show to happen. And so I always was directing, but I thought that the way life works is that you act for a long time, and then after that you get some certificate somehow to direct, and then you start directing for a long time, and then someone stops you and say, hey, now you can produce, and then you start producing for. And so I really looked at things in a very, like, kind of hierarchical, linear way.
Right.
And I graduated from a BFA program, AMDA, in Los Angeles. That's where I got my performance degree. And I got my equity card in Los Angeles, and I was like, I'm going to the Broadway. And I went to New York, and I was auditioning for a lot of things and getting a lot of feedback and a lot of final calls to things. But then I quickly was like, I don't really get a lot of joy from this process. Around the exact same time, a lot of opportunities to direct things started to happen, primarily because I was doing a lot of work in the space of arts and activism. So in 2016, when I moved here, that summer, Philando Castile died, Alton Sterling died, Sandra Bland died that year. Pulse was that year. So it was like, I always call 2016 this, like, really, really bloody year where I made a decision that I didn't want to do any day jobs anymore. and that I would go direct a musical in Louisiana, in my hometown. And when I came back to New York, I was just going to be a full-time theater maker, director, person. And I said this with like no money and out of 3 suitcases, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like I was prepared. But yeah, I just kind of started, and I kind of came through this weird back door of activism and meeting a lot of people in the industry through an organization that I created called Words on White that used the performing arts to help people talk about really difficult subject matter. And then I got hooked up with a lot of cool folks through that and started to direct all the time. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with activism and all that, how is it like? How does it feel being Black behind the table? Like, do you feel like people respond to you differently? Do you feel like you have to speak up a little bit more for people to listen to your ideas, especially as a younger director?
Yes, and right. So I'm behind the table in a few different capacities. Sometimes I'm behind the table for a piece that, you know, I saw from the very beginning, and I am directing it, and I can call the shots for a lot of different things that I want to happen in that room and in that process. And then, for instance, sometimes if I'm holding auditions for Tina on Broadway, right, that's a machine that's kind of locked. And so what I'm always trying to figure out is, as someone who does have to go and be a part of that process as well, how do you make an actor feel as if they're stepping into a room to audition for your little bitty show downtown where y'all will be making the set out of cardboard boxes? But I want the exact same feeling to happen in the room if I'm in the room for Tina. And a lot of times I'm there during work sessions or final callbacks with people. And it really is important to me that they not only see that I am a Black person behind this table, but that I'm also a human and that I'm going to treat them like an artist. And I want them to feel as if the audition room is a rehearsal space. And all of those different things I want to claim as what it means to be a Black director.
Yeah.
Right. If the alternative is to make people feel like scarcity is in the room, is to make people feel like you're going to be seeing people all day, so you better impress me. If making people feel like they have to fit into a box as a criteria, I'm interested in like what are all the opposites of that, and then how do I claim that as my own Blackness? Wow. Like actually what it means to be a Black artist is to make people feel like they are a part of this ever evolving history of art making in a kind of conscious and spirited way that's connected to like deep rooted truth and spirit, not just like a cog in a machine that's going through a factory, which is hard actually. Right. Factories make shit easier sometimes, right? Exactly. So a lot of times behind the table, I am hoping to exert as much energy throughout the day as the actors are as well, because I know how much it took to get there in front of me.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, go ahead, Sky.
I know that, I don't know if you can speak on it, but in general, I know that Tina had a town hall and Dear Evan Hansen had their town hall. Do you think that it's important for more shows to open up that dialogue and to start doing that more often? You know, we have like those trainings where like if an intruder comes into the theater and has a gun, I think it's important to like include minority training into some shows. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, at Tina, we called it a truth session. And we're still in process, right? There's lots of things happening in Tina. And what I will say is that, you know, maybe I'll get in trouble for this, but I want to empower everyone in any company to be holding your producers to task for this moment right here. In the same way that we can't get on stage until a certain amount of guidelines regarding COVID are checked off, it should be the same for Black lives.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think that list will look different from company to company. If you are in a show that is predominantly Black, that work is very particular and specific. If you're in a show that is predominantly white, wherein there may be only 2 or 3 Black people, maybe there's a whole different process, right? Like maybe you need to call in some community members to help you stand in your truth in those moments. Whatever it is, there's 1,000 different right answers. But I think the most important thing is that people, and I tell my actors at Tina this all the time, when we have understudy rehearsal or any kind of rehearsal, we get in a circle, we check in, and I say, you do have your machine hat that you have to wear. Just remember, you also have your artist hat. And it's not only the machine and the artist hat that we have, but in this moment, it's very important to realize we have a human hat. And that in these extreme moments of humanity calling out for justice, who are you not to bring those calls into your theater?
Yeah.
Too many people have fought for years and years and years and years to make it actually easy for you to do that. And so I think that the long answer of saying that, yes, every company of any size and any configuration should be talking about what undoing racism looks like on Broadway or in theater in general.
Yeah. And it looks a lot more, there are more ways than just donating $50,000 to an organization. That's what I hope that these producers understand, is that it really does start like internally. Thank you for the money. Thank you for that support. Thank you for the financial support. But there's so much more work, and I pray to God that it does not stop there.
Well, it's up to us, right? As the artist, it's up to us to demand that it not stop there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To connect with coalitions that are doing this work so that companies can build their capacity to ask for the things that they really need. For an artist of color to be able to really give yourself the space to dream into the future of what an anti-racist landscape looks like. We're getting into an unprecedented area where people of power are like, so what is it that you want? And if you've never thought about it, the clock is ticking, right? So it's up to us really in this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on here.
Awesome. It's so amazing what y'all are doing.
Yeah, this perspective is so important. So thank you so much for chatting with us, really.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Thank you. Wow. An hour and 58 minutes of talking about things that are so important.
So important.
The length of a movie. So if you can sit through that, I'm glad you sat through this. Thank you for tuning in.
$4,100. Oh my God.
That's crazy. That's insane. Thank you guys so much for donating. Thank you for taking this time to listen and learn with an open hearts and open ears and open minds. This is just the beginning for this. I hope to continue this on our platforms where we talk to even more artists, even more creatives on what we feel needs to change in our industry. So thanks again for tuning in. Thanks, Sky, for joining me.
Of course.
And thank you, Alex, Spaniello, and Andrew for helping us out and giving us this platform. That really means a lot to us. But yeah, so thanks so much. Still donate. It's still open. And yeah, we'll see you guys later. All right.
Bye.
Bye.